The first full week of racing about to draw to a close. Still 3 more days up ahead of us before a rest day, and there's been no rest at all from the very start of every single stage. Today, the most westerly destination of this year's race was up for grabs. The mighty Mur de Bretagne. The Wild West, I think you might say. Who's going to win? What type of rider would win?
In the mix zone here at the start in Saint-Malo, the general consensus is this could be a breakaway day, or it could be a day for the GC. It's iconic, the Mur de Bretagne. We do 2 ascents, and the man just behind me, last time in 2021, he won the stage, and the process took the Maillot Jaune. On this occasion, with a 1 second lead, it's going to be all about defending it. Can he hold on after a few days? But all the different riders that I've spoken to have basically suggested one thing's for sure, it's going to be brutal, it's going to be hard, and there will be a GC fight.
Well, right to the very off, it was extremely busy, as it has been for so many days. A real wrestle to get into the break, with the possibilities of success opened up, of course, in the minds of many after Healy's amazing performance the day prior. And so, Saint-Malo to the Mur de Bretagne. Another long day, 197 kilometres and an early start. Well, if fatigue is not starting to play a role in this race, then I don't know what will. They've had such a brutal time of things, and this was to be no different. A look at the parcours, yet again, not much flat ground to play with, up and down for much of the day before that spike at the very last. And so we got ourselves off and underway, and there was some liveliness out there. Well, Van Aert decided to try it. Mauro Schmidt came along for the ride, and then behind you kind of looked at the skirmish. Lots of riders were already showing that, well, basically this race is starting to take a toll. And in fact, off the back, there were some strugglers who were constantly trying to get back on. The first hour of racing was pitched up at 54 kilometres per hour, and it just didn't stop. Absolutely locked together at the head of the Viper, and they kept rolling off the front, and it took a long time. Over 50 kilometres in, and then at long last we had ourselves a quality group up the road. Exhaustion more than anything with those behind, thinking, you know what, we just have to let something go. In the end, Bourdin was there for EF Education, Geraint Thomas for Ineos, Marco Haller for Tudor, Garcia for Movistar, and Ewan Costure for Arkea B&B. Tadej Pogačar, well, he'd looked a little bit pensive at the beginning of the day. Some would say maybe a bit spiky. Ideal personality for the terrain, you might think. Well, we would find out. The Gap, a real meanie. Never really allowed to get much more than 95, 98 seconds, that sort of margin. Meanwhile, a lot of the chasing being done by Upson de Koning on behalf of our leader, Mathieu van der Poel. Just 1 second his advantage after, of course, the shenanigans on stage 6. What was the idea of Tadej Pogačar? How much work would his team do? Well, they were sharing duties, I have to tell you, with Alpecin. UAE in dominant mode. What would Visma Lease Bike have up their sleeves? Well, the intermediate sprint came along. It was taken by the breakaway, Garcia crossing the line first, leaving 10 points for the next rider to cross the line, going down in single increments. And indeed they started off with Quinn Simmons setting the template, but coming through to make sure that everyone is reminded who leads the green jersey competition. Jonathan Milan taking that. There we are, beautiful weather, wonderful spectators. I'm living the life. Bernardino the Badger, a man who thrived in this part of the world, the last winner, of course, of the Tour de France from France. Well, the Gap started to tumble, and as we came to our circuit, this was always going to be a bit of a brute. The fast men possibly saving themselves for 2 sprinters stages to come. 50 points up for grabs at the end of today, which seemed a bit strange. Surely it wouldn't be for the pure sprinters, but some who can go quickly, like of course Remco Evenepoel, would always be a feature. The kilometres came down, and the Mur de Bretagne was to be contested by our breakaway. They would be the ones who would hear the bell, although that was starting to break down. No breakdown behind, at least for Visma Lease Bike. They were making sure that they were ready to go for it. Victor Campenaerts getting his nose in the wind. Meanwhile, Geraint Thomas left just 3 more up front, and that itself even began to break down. Garcia was next. Looking back down the line, well, Simon Yates doing a fabulous job, the Giro winner, just starting to close that gap as they hoovered up the break. Meanwhile, crossing the line for some vital points, you might say. Ewan Costieu, soon to be wound in, and with 12.2 kilometres to go, it was all hell about to break loose. It looked like a very, very select group. Well, we've had some bumps and bruises, I'm afraid, within this race, and today it was no different. Plenty caught out, and this was the end of the day for many, if not the end of the race. Meanwhile, pushing on, our King of the Mountains man was adding to his tally. Great to see Tim Wellens in polka dots. Meanwhile, this very selective group was starting to shed riders, and I'm afraid it was not to be the day for Mathieu van der Poel.
The locals are out in force, and there's a Tour de France stage win up for grabs. It has been one of the fastest Tour stages with hills in living memory, an average speed at almost 50 kilometers per hour. And now they're going to have to ramp it up in the final couple of 100 meters. Vauquelin thinks about launching it. Laurens has lost it, but here goes Pogačar. Here goes Pogačar. He's out there again. He's going to the line. The rainbow bands are on show, but Vingegaard is gaining. Vingegaard is gaining. He's still in the wheel though. It's Pogačar all the way. He brings it home, and it's Pogačar in the Poncho's paradise who wins in the rainbow jersey and will take back the lead of the Tour de France.
Taking back the lead, taking bonus seconds as well on Jonas Vingegaard. Third across the line, a mighty performance by Oscar Onley. Meanwhile, crossing behind, Mathieu van der Poel, acknowledging that this was not to be his day. Spectacular turn of pace by Tadej Pogačar. Well, if he had been irked by the antics of Visma Leasebike the day prior, it was like poking a bear, and he mauled everybody. Genius at work, leader of this race, totally in control. Pogačar takes the day ahead of Vingegaard, Onley, Gall and Jorgensen.
I think me and Matthew, we both know this finish very well. We have nice memories both from here, I guess. We wanted, more or less, both we wanted the same to win on this iconic climb. But I think, maybe he left it too much yesterday on the road, so we couldn't have this rematch. But for me, the day went super, like we planned, and the win is amazing.
The confidence of a winner. Tadej Pogačar is in charge. The mountains, well, we'll have to wait for those, but it's a handsome lead he has overall, leading Remco Evenepoel by 54 seconds. Kevin Vauquelin in the frame at the minute 11. Jonas Vingegaard up to 4th, ahead of Mathieu van der Poel. And so, what lays ahead tomorrow? Well, the first of 2 days of out-and-out sprinting, presumably, but you never quite know what's going to happen in this race. Only one categorised climb, that comes late on. There's a temptation of an intermediate sprint out there. 171 kilometres, not the longest race. Laval, our destination, and one of the flattest days that we have seen. Not much altitude gain, but an awful lot to gain for us. It'll be wonderful.